Hi, I'm Tom Marks with the Marks Law Firm, and welcome to the Healthy Family Law Attorney. My passion is to provide hope and help to your family navigating the divorce process in a healthy way. And today I have a special guest that I want to introduce, Kristi Nowrouzi. Hi, Kristi.
Hey there, Tom. So glad to be here with you.
It's great to have you on the channel. I want to introduce Kristi. She's been a mortgage loan officer for 10 years or more, really. She has a podcast. Is it Credit Kristi?
It's Credit Coaching by Kristi.
Okay. All right. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I launched it earlier this year. My first episode was February 22nd. So been investing some time in that. Almost every week I drop a new episode. They're about 10 minutes long, and I tackle a different topic every single week related to improving your credit, understanding credit, just some things that you need to know. So if you care about credit, then meet me over there in the podcast world.
So, Kristi, what should families do when they're going through a divorce? What should they do with their finances?
So first things first, if you are divorcing somebody, they know your they know your social security number, they know your date of birth, they have access to things on your credit. So the very first thing I'd have you do is pull your credit report. You can go to freeannualcreditreport.com and look to see what's getting reported. While you're there, I would probably encourage you to consider freezing your credit, especially if you're in one of those kind of turbulent situations where somebody might try to sabotage you a little bit. Maybe they're hurt, their feelings are hurt, and they want to hurt you too. So maybe consider putting a freeze on your credit. You can do that by going to Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax and putting a freeze on it. It's really easy to remove that freeze as well. Just about as much time as it takes to put it on, you can take it off. So when you do need to go and refinance or get to your credit, you can do that pretty quickly. After you get your hands on your credit report, look at it. There's going to be some joint credit. There's going to be maybe some authorized user accounts, or you might have some accounts that might be the future ex-spouses that you need to make sure that when you're talking with your attorney that gets handled in the proper manner. I know a lot of times somebody has a better credit score than the other person. So, maybe the husband took on the debt of the wife in his name, but it's really her debt, kind of a thing. So we'll need to know where we're at as far as what's being reported. Also, if something is inaccurate while you're there, go ahead and get that corrected. So if you've got late payments that didn't exist, or information that isn't accurate, you will have an opportunity there to go ahead and update that information.
That's really, really good advice because as the lawyer in the case, I want to see that credit report because I want to compare it to the financial affidavit from the other party, because it'll list all of the debts of the parties. And if they're not all listed on the financial affidavit, that's a problem, right? So we need to make sure we capture all that. All right, well, good. So you work with families going through divorce. I know that because I've had experience with you before, and that's why I have such a high trust level with you. But I remember one case I had. I'm in the very first collaborative session with both parties, husband and wife. I'm representing the wife. Husband's there. He's got his collaborative attorney. The neutrals are there, and they're setting their goals. And my client, the wife, says, "Hey, I'd like to stay in the house with the kids for a certain period of time, just for continuity and to help the kids adjust." And then the husband, he gets up there and says, "Well, I want the kids to have that continuity and that time to adjust. So I'm okay with you staying in the house." And we're like, wow, that's great. Can she afford to refinance? Can she qualify? So what do? I pull out my little iPhone. I texted you, if I remember correctly. And I said, here are some details. Here are the incomes. Here's general financial information. And I sent it to you. And I said, can my client qualify? Within 15 minutes, you sent me a yes.
Yeah.
So, and that helped the collaborative case move forward. So does that kind of stuff happen with you, right? I mean, you seem to be really on top of it.
Well, thank you. Anything for you, though, Tom. So I remember that. I remember you sending that over, and this is what I love about part of your practice being the collaborative, because everybody's playing nice in the sandbox, right? So as long as you get to that end result, and it's not always that case where everybody kind of agrees on everything, right? And even if both
Right.
parties did agree, to your point, she may not have been able to qualify to be able to carry on that mortgage. A lot of times it takes two incomes to be able to qualify for that home. And so when it takes two incomes and now you're separating those two incomes, now you're down to one. A lot of times people they're not in the right size loan, which by default then makes it not the right size home. So a lot of times people want what they want, but they can't always afford it on paper. And so it's an honor to be able to work through those numbers and be able to tell you right then and there, like, this looks like that's something that's doable. The last thing we want to do is put somebody into a payment that they're house rich and cash poor, especially because I remember there are kids involved. Kids are very expensive. You need to have extra money for all of their needs too. So being able to make sure we're putting somebody in the right size payment for them, and when you've got two families that are, this family that's becoming two different heads of households, sometimes you take on some additional debt too. Right? Like maybe one person did these chores, mowing the lawn and cleaning the pool and taking care of the pest control. And now that person's not there any longer. You either have to take that on or hire it out. And I know a lot of single parents now can't do all of it. Right? So now you've got these additional debts in your household that you didn't really have before, and you've got to calculate that into your budget. So we've got to think about those things too, in addition to, the new house payment if they're going to refinance and own that house on their own.
It's good information. Tell our audience, what are some of the mistakes divorcing couples make when they're going through the divorce process with their finances?
So a lot of times they'll keep their joint checking accounts. I think if you're going to start the divorce process, get your own checking account. Doesn't have to be at the same bank. It can be at the same, it doesn't really matter, wherever your bank relationship is, but start your own checking accounts and then start having your direct deposit go in there. It's hard. It's really hard to start moving all that stuff over because there's so much things, so many things that are auto pay and, you just swipe your debit card, those kinds of things. You got to have this, it's hard to move it over. So once you get past that initial, moving over, it gets a lot easier to balance those bills, but start with your own checking account. The other thing is don't go out revenge shopping. I see this a lot. I see people max out their credit cards because they feel lousy. There's a lot of emotions. And so sometimes the only thing that helps you feel better is shopping therapy, or, I'll show you, I'll go get that new shiny car and I'll have the new suits or whatever. It will cost you so much more over time with those finance charges. And sometimes I see them out of anger try to sabotage each other. So if he's going to keep the house and it's a joint mortgage right now until he gets refinanced, please don't withhold payment and have the credit score suffer, just because you're mad. So sometimes I see that happening too, where there's some sabotage and late payments, and credit can get destroyed during a divorce because of those, joint accounts. And you said you were going to make the payment and those kinds of things. One late payment can really have a devastating effect on your credit score, especially if you've got a really excellent credit score. The higher you are, the harder you fall. And a late payment could really, really impact that. Your payment history is actually 35% of what makes up your credit score. So we've got to get payments on time. But sometimes we're just emotionally a mess up here, right? So you forget that payment, you forgot about that credit card, something along those lines. So keep track of what expenses and what bills you have to pay, and just make sure that those are, especially the things that report on your credit, that they're paid on time.
Right. And unfortunately, the majority of cases are not collaborative. The majority of cases, unfortunately, people have high emotion, and it's a huge just disappointment with people.
Have you ever had the experience of your client or the opposing side sabotaging the situation and acting out?
Absolutely. I have one right now. representing a client, and it's actually her former husband that had created some huge credit problems. Here's an issue when spouses are divorcing and they're vis-a-vis the court can tell which party has to pay which credit cards or which debt, but vis-a-vis the credit card company, if it's a joint credit card, they both owe the credit card company. And so it doesn't matter in the divorce process if, say, the husband says, I'm going to take those credit cards. Well, the credit card company can still come after both husband and wife. And so I had a case where they had gotten divorced. He was supposed to cut up the credit cards. And I think he actually might have done that in front of her, but he applied for a new credit card as if he had lost it, so replacement, and then went on, like you said, revenge shopping. I think he ran up about $100,000 in debt, and so she didn't find out about it until the credit card company started coming after her, and then her credit is just destroyed. So I always tell my clients, when you're canceling a credit card, don't just cut it up. I want you to communicate to the credit card company in writing. And if you have to do it certified mail, I want you to get confirmation from the credit card company that the credit card has been canceled. So, and keep that in your records, because
it's great advice. So the event of a divorce doesn't take anybody off the hook for a responsibility. If you are, the person, a party that's responsible for that payment, just to your point right there, if it's a joint account, you are both 100% responsible for that payment. And it's just furthering your point there, doesn't matter what the courts say. So that's one of those things you have to look at on your credit report, and that's another reason why credit suffers so much through a divorce, is because if you are closing those accounts, that history now ends. So if you've had a Discover card for 20, 25 years, but it was a joint account and that has to come to an abrupt end, that may have been your longest standing account as far as history. And then if it's no longer open and no longer active, it's no longer helping you. So that's a big reason why, because of cards having to get closed. And then, for auto loans and mortgage loans, if it's a joint account, you can't just take one person off, because it likely took both of you to get approved for it. So you actually have to either pay it off or refinance it. So in a lot of cases, you're either selling that thing, the house or the car, or refinancing it off. That's the only way to remedy it from going, from a joint account into one person's name.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've seen many clients have to file for bankruptcy afterwards because there's no way to get out from under all of the credit. So it's really important for the lawyer to really look carefully, credit reports, keep updated information. If the client's working with someone like you who's helping with the mortgage, you're going to be up to date on that too. And it's good communication to have with the attorney. Let me ask you, do you help clients with ideas to help repair their credit or things they can do to kind of avoid these kind of problems?
Absolutely. So to protect it and to repair it. I'm not a credit repair company. I'm a credit specialist just because I've seen literally thousands of credit reports, and I really get the algorithms on how the bureaus come up with their credit score. So it's not rocket science, but there's some things that are just never taught out there. So it's very common in my mind because that's my business. That's what I work with every day. But if you've never been taught it, sometimes people are like, wow, I just didn't know. So kind of like that payment history. Sometimes people think, well, I can just miss this one payment. It's just one payment. And they don't realize how devastating it can be for their credit history. So yes, if somebody comes to me and they're going through or just gone through the divorce process, there's a really good chance that they have some damaged credit. And so I'll look at their report with them. And so we can make some recommendations. Now, there's not much you can do about late payments. If something's gone to a collection account, it is what it is. But I will recommend, if it's a new collection, get that sorted out right now. If that company comes after you and can't collect, they're going to sell it to another collection company. So let's say, and here's a true story. Just experienced this with a young guy, he's 26 years old. He had a credit card from college and he maxed it out. Nobody really taught him how to, work through it or whatever. So he maxed it out. He wound up with the late payment. They charged him $35. They closed his account because now he's over and late and all these things. So he's like, fine, keep it. So it's on his credit report. And this bank then sold it because he didn't pay them back. They sold it to a collection agency. The collection agency came after him for about a year. They couldn't collect. So they sold it to another collection agency.
Wow.
So this one derogatory account has now become 3 derogatory accounts on his credit. So it's really important to, if you've got a new collection, deal with it right away, because a lot of times if you can't handle it right away, they'll delete it off, or having a paid collection is a lot better than having an open collection out there. So as long as it's a new one. If it's something from years ago, sometimes it's just best to let an old dog sleep, right? Just don't wake that beast.
Right. Right. So I have a kind of off the beaten path kind of question, but it's current and it's something that's everybody's experiencing. And, of course, I want to provide hope and help to families going through this process. Right now, we're all going through the pandemic, the COVID-19. Is there anything specific or particular that the shutdowns and the mortgage forbearances and all that is causing what you're seeing in the mortgage industry?
Absolutely. So there are millions of people that are currently in deferment and forbearance. So that means they're not making the mortgage payment. Just a quick definition: deferment means that the payments are added to the end of your term. In other words, it's just on a pause right now. You don't have to pay it. And then at the end of that deferment, you just pick up and start making your payments again. In a forbearance, whatever that agreed amount of time is, that means at the end of that agreement, all of those payments are now due in full.
Yeah, that's crazy. How do people do that?
And that's the problem. A lot of people can't. So Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, they make up the guidelines in which most mortgage lenders follow. And their guidelines at the time of this recording is that at the end of that term, deferment or forbearance, you have to make 3 full payments on time, and you can't do it all at one time, 3 months worth of payments before you can be considered for a refinance or for a new purchase loan. So let's say there's a family that is now going through a divorce and they're in the middle of a deferment. They actually would have to make those 3 on-time payments before they can even apply for a mortgage loan and be considered, because it's considered a hardship. So those 3 months show, hey, we're past the hardship now, we're back on track. My concern, Tom, is that a lot of people have been 3 months, 6 months, almost 9 months into this, and they haven't been making payments. Most people that have a mortgage on their home escrow their taxes and their insurance. You haven't been paying towards your taxes and insurance.
Right.
Right now, it's the month of November. At the time of this recording, our property taxes here in Florida are due. And so the loan servicers are paying that. And then they're going to come back to you and say, hey, there's a shortage of $4,000 in your escrow account. So now your payment is going to go up, and it's going to cause a lot of grief.
Wow. That's good. That's good to know. So one of maybe the good things right now is that interest rates are really low. I mean, historically, right?
Yes.
So is it hard for people to qualify to get those low rates? What goes into that, and how do our clients get those low rates?
So the biggest factor for the best credit score, the biggest factor for the very best interest rate is your credit score. So it's really important to have the best credit score you can possibly have, whether you put down 3% for a down payment on a purchase or you've got 20% down. If you're doing a refinance, whether you have 10% equity or you have 50% equity, the biggest impact on that interest rate is your credit score. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I think that the rates are going to stay nice and low for a little while. So I don't feel like there's this mad rush panic to have to refinance or purchase right now. But the lower the lower the interest rate, the more buying power that you have for your home purchase price. Right now, I'm refinancing a lot of people out of rates from 2 years ago. The average going rate from 2 years ago was like 4.75. And right now we can drop them down almost 2 points. It's quite
Wow.
fantastic. So
That is really good.
yeah.
And I'm seeing right now, I have two clients that they just got their houses listed and they were under contract, one in 2 days and the other one in, I think it was about 9 days. And that was a really big house. So you're probably running around like a chicken with her head cut off, trying to get all these refinancings or mortgages. You must be really busy.
Yeah, it's been a great year for that. But you know what? I'd love to know your opinion. Do you think that after all of these months of homeschool and working from home, and it's like a lot of people aren't traveling the way that we used to travel, and can't get together with friends and family the way that we got together, and so cabin fever starts settling in. What is your prediction, if you had a crystal ball, as to what might happen with how families go forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. Unfortunately, when people are locked down in tight quarters and their marriage may already have cracks or difficulties going on, that's just going to exacerbate it. That's going to put the pressure cooker on more. So unfortunately, unless people get into therapy, get some help, really commit to working on the marriage, there's going to be an increase in the number of divorces. We're already seeing it, but right now we're having another kind of spike nationally, and I know internationally, but if it gets worse, the divorce rate will probably go up. And so I really encourage my clients, we talk about healthy ways of doing things on this channel. And I like to give tips and help people. One of my tips is it's okay to work on the marriage like maintenance, even when you don't have serious problems. It's probably better to do it before you have the serious problems. So, most of the therapy right now is virtual, but it's available. And I know a number of really qualified therapists that I can recommend if anybody has a question or a comment or wanted to have a referral, put it on the channel here and I'll be happy to provide that. So that leads me into my final question for you. And I always like to ask this on my channel. Do you have a healthy tip or two that you can give our viewers?
Yeah, so probably not as healthy as your tips. I love listening to your healthy tips. And I love your avocados too. I don't know if I can say this or not, but I have 2 avocados. Can I? I have 2 avocados
yes,
in my
absolutely.
backyard because of you. You encouraged everybody around you in your life to have avocado trees. So I'm one of your friends that was part of that big event with you. So that was pretty cool. So I named them. Did I tell you what I named them?
No. What'd you name them?
I named each tree. One is called Tom and one is called Mark.
Oh, well, I hope Tom is doing pretty well. That's all I can say. That is such a fond memory for me because people on my channel, I don't think I've said this, but I put together an avocado tree adoption program, and I bought 20 trees, an A and a B variety, so they pollinate better. And you got 2, and they're doing great. We were at someone's house last night, and he actually adopted a couple trees, and they're doing great. So love to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, so much fun. Okay, so healthy tip. So money can cause a lot of stress. So in my realm with credit and money, I see that most people don't address money out of fear, saying, well, I just, it's too big for me. I don't know. I don't understand it. Those kinds of things. I would like to encourage your viewers, follow somebody that can teach you and give some advice about money. Find a mentor in your life that seems to be doing well. And I don't mean like has flashy cars and those kinds of things, but just doesn't seem to have financial stress, and just say, would you mind just guiding me a little bit and telling me a little bit about what you do so that you don't have that financial stress. I love to read. You can see my library behind me. I love to read. And one of my favorite books after Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you haven't read it, please read it. It will change your financial life. You'll get a right understanding about money. But the next book behind that was The Millionaire Next Door. And most millionaires, they don't have the flashy cars. They're not driving, a Bentley, and they don't have a Rolex. They're driving a Toyota, and they're living in, a really nice upper middle class home, not $1 million McMansion. So wealth is accumulated by making all of the right decisions. And so back up to where we're at right now, so many of us are walking around with a lot of debt. And I want to encourage you to start on a plan where you can see where your money is going. So follow a spending planner, also known as a budget. If you see where your money is going to, you can take better control of the flow. So money is a tool, but most of us feel very stressed out about money because we just don't know how to manage it. Usually, the money is managing us. So if you can see where your money is going, then you can start making some tweaks about where your spending is at. If it's really important for you to go out to eat every single Friday night, don't stop doing that. But maybe you can cut the cable bill over here in half by having a few less channels so that you can afford to do that without putting it on credit cards, So I think that just having a better idea of where you sit right now with the wages that you are earning will really help take off a lot of stress. According to the American Psychology Association, they said about 75% of people stress out about money. And if it's causing you stress mentally, it might be causing you stress physically. So start with a spending planner. It feels like homework, but it's probably the very best gift you could give to yourself and to your family, just knowing where you're at. And it's changed my life. I shared with my financial advisor that my life goal is to live off of a third of my income, save a third, and give a third away. What kind of impact could I make in my community if I were able to give a third of my income away to the organizations that are doing the most good here, for my neighbors? So that's my personal goal. That's what I'm getting to. But I wouldn't be able to do that unless I created a spending planner. So I encourage your viewers to do the same thing.
Well, I think that's great advice. I've read both of those books. And I would also give a plug to Dave Ramsey with Financial Peace University. Finances are one of the most common reasons for divorce. People fight over money. There's not enough money. Right now, the economy is really iffy. A lot of people are out of work. A lot of people are, kind of furloughed So there's a lot of stress in that area. So that I like that tip. I'll give you kudos on that one.
Thank you. Do you have another minute to talk about something just a little bit deeper than, that superficial talk about money?
Sure.
Awesome. So when we were 4, 5, 6 years old during our formative years here, we watched and saw our parents, how they handled money. And that becomes our core story. And we lived into that for the rest of our lives, that belief that we've created about money, and we've never questioned it. And unfortunately, the education system hasn't taught us about money. My parents certainly didn't sit me down and teach me about, utilizing credit and balancing a checkbook and what to do with my take-home pay. It was never taught to me. We just kind of have to figure it out on our own. So now we become these, working adults, and we're generating income and we're spending it, but we're just kind of getting by. And I really believe that's a big part of why couples fight. 75% of most couples are money opposites. So you've got a spender and a saver together, right? And so perhaps this one is the saver and has no idea why they're the saver. And this one's the spender. They have no idea why they're the spender. They've just kind of emulated what they saw in their homes. And if you don't know why you believe that, you can't really defend it or explain it. And now you can't get on that same plane with your partner. And so we just tend to not talk about it. And then things, get built up and we start feeling, uneasiness and unrest about how you handle money versus how I handle money. And we just don't even know how to have a conversation about it, because I've never even questioned what I thought about my own finances kind of a deal. So I think if we can look at what our core story is, like, what did your parents do and say, and how did they handle money? And were they on the same page about it? Did they fight about it? Did they pretend to have money and just live off of credit cards and borrowed funds? Or, there's just everybody's got their own story. But if you're in a relationship, start asking your partner, what was money like for you when you were a kid? How did your parents handle it, or your caretakers? And how does that relate to where you're at right now? Start having those conversations, because it might open up a door to be able to have a better conversation and a better understanding of how we view money.
Yeah. And, there's so many books written on finances. In fact, in the Bible, there are more verses about money and finances than anything else. It's kind of crazy to think that, and there's those verses that say, it's not money is the root of all evil. It's the love of money that is. And you can't serve two masters, right? God and money. So, or finances or wealth or whatever. So that's something also people can get into counseling about. I mean, it's not always about emotional issues, although that is an emotional issue. Finances is. So
that's right.
This is good stuff. This is like the longest tip we've had, but it's a great conversation, and it's one of the biggest problems in divorces. So it's important stuff. If anyone here liked this video today, hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this and you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, and all that. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave those for me. And if you'd like to hear someone for me to interview, this is kind of a new part of the channel, because all my other videos have been me just talking into the camera. This is a lot more fun for me. I'm an extrovert. I'm a people person.
You are.
I just love this so much more than talking nonstop into a camera. But I will be adding these videos. I'm going to have some others on the channel. It's going to, I hope it provides some value. And if it does, I'm glad to do that. Kristi, it's awesome to have you on the channel. You were great. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you soon.
I know, in real life, right?
Right. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.